In 2020, maybe 21, I met this guy named Shane Scott that completely changed the way I viewed the world and also myself. Now, Shane, he's a mixture of like if Eckhart Tolle, a venture capitalist, and Mr. Clean had a baby, that's Shane. And when I met him at this time, I had just started my online business. I was trying to get things going, and I kind of realized that I was getting in my own way a lot. And I couldn't understand exactly why until he told me this. He said, Raylen, most people are a prisoner in their own mind. Most people are victim to no one other than themselves. And I realized something very important that day. I realized my entire life, the reason I had not found the success I was looking for was because of no one other than myself. So in this video, we're going to do something incredibly difficult. Two things. One, I'm going to try to explain this philosophy, this way of thinking that maybe one day you can free yourself from being a prisoner to circumstance, to the stories we tell ourselves. And I'm also going to prepare for my son's 5th birthday. We're going to be doing his surprise birthday. Tons of balloons are in order. Kayla put me in charge of getting things like propane, Drano, which is a separate thing. I got the shower's clogged. And then also, shoot, what was the third thing? This is why exactly she makes me make a list. Wait, hold on. Propane, Drano, dog food. That being said, let's dive in. All right, so next stop we gotta get water. So while we're on the way to get water, I wanted to kind of explain this really quick. So before meeting Shane, growing up, I had, you could say, like an interesting life, right? My father went away to prison when I was a kid. Growing up, we were evicted from our house. There's tons of issues financially with the family, right? I always had this built-in excuse that people would give to me, right? There's a story that I would tell myself, and it wasn't even truly given to me. I realized later on it was given to me by others. For example, when I was struggling in school, mostly through my middle school years, you know, counselors and teachers would give me a pass, would say, oh, it's okay that you're not doing so well because you're struggling at home. And then I found myself starting to feed into it more and more. And before I knew it, I was a true victim. I ultimately, because of my circumstances, because of the stories I tell myself, felt like I couldn't really be successful. I had an out. And that was the problem, because it didn't just stop when I was in middle school. And sure, later on, I changed the way that I did homework and all that stuff, and I turned into a straight A student. But it really just seeped into other areas of my life. Let's say, for example, I got in an argument with somebody. It's not, in my mind, because I was in this victim mentality, there was no way possible that I would take responsibility for any of it, right? It was usually your fault. Nothing that I could ever do warranted me being in trouble, right? So whether that, again, when I was a kid dealing with stuff, it was my friend's fault or it was the circumstances because I didn't know. Like, there's all these stories that I tell myself to get me out of it without taking responsibility. What I did not know, though, was that not taking responsibility was actually the thing that was holding me back to getting where I want to be. And not only was I not taking the responsibility, it was simply because of this one little framework that, again, Shane kind of put me onto, that I'm going to kind of do the same for you. So this concept comes from many different people, right? And I think it's important to note here that there are no unique ideas. Most people just regurgitate other things and repackage in different ways. The example that he gave me, oh, it's not even open, guys. Closed. I need the water that is in there. So instead, we're going to do a game plan change here, and we're going to go to Target because we need Target. 30-something years old, and yes, I still need to put in the navigation where I'm going. I've been in Arizona for 8 years now, maybe more. I think 10 years at this point. And I still have no idea where I'm going at all times. I'm in a perpetual state, is that the word? Perpetual state of lost. Well, okay, the concept. All right, so he told me this, oh God, I've been sitting on my mic this whole time. Holy crap. So anyway, this framework completely changed the way I looked at things. So he talks about this difference between a choice and a decision. Now, language is important, right? And I'm not talking about the true definition when you look up Webster's dictionary and you look up the word decision. This is not the definition that I'm talking about. This is a new definition I want you to consider just for this little bit of a mind experiment. There's a difference between a choice and a decision. A decision is when you allow circumstances, stories, and excuses to dictate what you do. Now, a choice you choose because you choose it. There is no circumstance, stories, and excuses. That's it. You choose it because you choose it. So he gave this one talk, and he said, okay, I want you to imagine that I have vanilla, and I have a chocolate ice cream, right? I have vanilla and chocolate ice cream. Which one do you choose? So then you would raise your hand and you say, vanilla. Why? You would say. Why do you want to choose vanilla? Well, because it's my favorite ice cream. Why is your favorite ice cream? Growing up, I just really enjoyed it because it was a family treat and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Then we beg the question, right? Is that a choice or a decision? It's a decision because ultimately, what led to you selecting vanilla was because of a story, a circumstance, or an excuse. This is a really dumb and silly kind of example of this, right? But it makes a lot of sense. So I want you to think about something we do on a daily basis. So let's say you said to yourself, I'm going to make a video, because this is what I did. I'm going to make a video for my YouTube channel. Then you go to work. Work is really hectic. It's crazy. You leave work extremely exhausted because, well, you worked a lot. We get it. And when you get home, it's time to make that video, and you say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Was that a choice or decision? It's a decision. Why? Because you had an excuse. You created a story, and that stopped you from being able to get the thing you said you were going to get done. Therefore, the thing that ultimately you want, you won't get. Why? Because of stories, circumstances, or excuses. And look, I'm fully aware that we're diving into the woo a little bit. I like to say that I'm a little woo, but not woo-woo, okay? I'm not rubbing crystals together. I don't charge my crystals in the moon at night. I don't do any of those things. But I think it is important to dive into some of these concepts of how our brain works. Most of the time, to get what you want, you have to overcome the avoidance. You have to overcome your own victim mentality. And that's exactly what I wasn't doing. And what's interesting is about this concept, right? And he calls it becoming the source, becoming someone that you are responsible for everything in your life. You are responsible for the choices you make or the decisions you make. If we go back to the old philosophy, the old way of looking at the difference between choice and decision, you are responsible. And when you take responsibility, you stop playing victim, you actually get more out of your life. It kind of reminds me of like Jocko Willink saying discipline equals freedom. It seems like a paradox, but it's not. This one way of thinking changed my life for a few reasons. One, because of this way of thinking, I became a better boyfriend, which then led to being a better husband and now a father. It led to me really diving into my business, not taking full responsibility of whether it was successful or not. And as a result, I grew a multiple six-figure business. All of these things I thought was impossible because I thought the world was against me. We hear this all the time from this mindset from other people, this victim mentality mindset of saying, well, I can't have X because of Y. I can't have X because of this story, circumstance, or an excuse. Now, before you light me up in the comments, I want us to consider this. I am in no way saying that anything in your life is your fault. It's different. Fault and responsibility are completely two different things. It's not your fault that you were born the way that you were born or the circumstance that you were born, but it is your responsibility to take that and choose to either allow it to hold you back or not. You can decide to allow that to hold you back, or you can choose for it not to. You want what you want because you want it. Having this small mindset changed everything for me. Now, there's one little part of this too that I think is important to know. When you choose, you don't need an excuse for wanting what you want. Say we want a promotion or a job. You don't need an excuse for why you need it. You don't need to explain that, I need to make more money because of da-da-da. None of that matters. You want it because you want it. And now you go do the actions that's required to obtain that thing. If you leave out the excuse, and this will be hard for some people, so maybe this will be a different video one day, but starting with why isn't the answer. You don't need a why. You want it because you want it. It allows you to not waste your energy trying to explain things in your own mind, the wasted time thinking about, do I deserve it? All of that goes out the window, and all that energy is now available for you to actually go and execute. More on this in a second. I better go get some dog food from Target. I'm at Target. I need to get the dog food. And Drano. Don't let me forget Drano. So I can make it back before my wife kills me.
So we have perfected the art of creating balloon arches.
So the party is officially over, and yes, I am literally right back at Target because I need more Drano. The first bottle did not work. Yes, my wife has a lot of hair, but it gives us a great opportunity to wrap this video up in a tight little bow, and that is ending on the thought of a challenge. If you were to take what I said in this video and take the philosophy of Shane and what he gave to me and want to try it out for your life, how would you do it? The first thing is to identify every area of your life. There is a circumstance, a story, or an excuse that's holding you back. We all have them, right? Point blame at somebody at our job, and that's the reason why we weren't promoted. We say someone's being really mean to us, and that's why we responded the way we did. You see, constantly we are pointing blame at others and making ourselves the victim. And today, to be a victim is kind of popular. It's nice because you're not at fault. But when we are the victim, we are then a prisoner. And prisoners, I don't know if you last checked, they don't get around much. They don't get to do what they want. We lose our own free will. So the idea is really simple. Create more opportunities to choose instead of making decisions. Remove all the stories, circumstances, and excuses from your life, and you may just end up achieving what you're set to achieve. Now, with that being said, let me know your thoughts on the subject. I know it's a touchy one. I know people get a little up in arms and ultimately want to make an excuse for as to why they're not where they want to be. But I'm curious to hear, in what areas of your life have you taken responsibility? Have you seen the same things that I've done in my life, that once you remove the obstacles, the circumstances, stories, and excuses, that you saw your life got a little bit better? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you like this type of thing. And my wife's calling, so I should probably take this. See you in the next video.